Bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. So, welcome to all of our virtual friends out there on the internet waves. This Sunday afternoon Dhamma talk and meditation. So, I want to talk today about a subject that everybody basically dominates a lot of people's lives, at least a few of them, what are called the 8 worldly conditions. So these 8 conditions are what affect people's lives in very direct ways and indirect ways. And the way that they deal with these 8 worldly conditions, determines the quality and of their life and the quality of their mind, and also their karmic interconnections with other people as well. And these are basically like the opposites. So these are pleasure and pain, okay? So pleasure and pain are the dualities. And you can't really have one without the other. But most people are always trying to gain some type of pleasurable feeling, whether it's something to please their eye, their ear, their nose, their tongue, their skin, and even their thoughts, trying to think pleasurable thoughts or fantasies, maybe that they know they'll never get, but they get some pleasure of trying to, dream of something. And then the opposite, and the reason why people seek out pleasure is because in order to soften the pain, their painful feelings. So, and painful sensations are always coming to us. Now we get pleasurable feelings from, I already mentioned, from the 5 physical senses and our mind. And painful feelings also come through those 5 physical senses and the mind. We might see something that causes us pain, like a dead friend or whatever. Or hear some unpleasant words, we get a pain. Or smell, some smells you don't like, or tastes, or actual physical pain. And also our thoughts might have painful memories. So these are always coming and going. And largely we don't have much control over them. So, we try to get pleasurable objects, but we we don't always able to fulfill them or get them at our beck and call. But we try, we plan, we scheme, sometimes days or weeks in advance, hoping to get some object of our desire. Sometimes we get it. Even if we get it, sometimes it's very short-lived. And then we get disappointed. Even in relationships and things like that, you can see that. And then those pleasurable feelings can turn into painful feelings. And even sometimes what used to bring a painful feeling could cause a pleasurable feeling in the future, if one knows how to transform that. So anyway, the pleasure and pain, people's lives are affected that. They get happy and when things are going nicely, when they're getting all the objects of their desire, then their mind gets giddy and is overjoyed. But again, as I mentioned, those things can change in a finger snap, and they can turn into painful feelings, or painful feelings coming from other places are also coming quite a lot, especially the physical pains. People are prone to more sicknesses. But we're also planning and scheming how we're going to get away from that unpleasant sight, that unpleasant smell, that unpleasant sound. Like maybe there's somebody in your office or someplace that's always talking a bunch of nonsense and it causes you pain. How am I going to avoid this person today? Or somebody's always insulting you or the other kind of things, So, we spend a lot of time planning and scheming how we're going to avoid anticipated painful feelings and how we're going to try to get or capture the pleasurable feelings. And this, in fact, if you really checked up on a deeper level, this process is going on probably 98% of your waking time. Even the point, if it's hot, you open the windows because you don't want to, get too hot inside. If it's too cold, you turn on the heater, or you're planning on what time you're going to turn that on, or if there's mosquitoes or bugs, or there's so many things we're anticipating these types of sensations. And a lot of times it's just it's a kind of a waste of time, because we might be planning a lot to get to avoid something, and in the end it never pans out or comes about, and it's wind up being a kind of a waste of your time trying to plan something because it never worked out. Anyway, so that's pleasure and pain. And even the fact, even it goes to subtle levels, like every time you blink, you ever stop to think about why you blink? Because there's an unpleasant sensation on your eyelid or under your eyelid or somewhere that you're trying to get rid of. So you're blinking in order to get rid of that. Now, that's unconscious for the most part. We never even think about it, but that's also trying to get away from unpleasant feeling. And every time you go like this, or that's also getting away from some itch or some unpleasant feeling. You're changing your body posture, or doing this. It's all about getting away from relieving yourself from unpleasant feelings. And we probably do that hundreds, if not thousands of times, even in a day, some people. Anyway, so pleasure and pain, those are probably the two most predominant ones. And then there's gain and loss. And that means we might gain something, whether it's get a good job or gain some money. Maybe somebody inherits you some money, or you win a lottery, or any number of reasons. It could be something else, not only money. It could be you get a new puppy, or you get a new cat. And anyway, all things are coming and going through our life all the time. you get a promotion, and then you lose it. And so all those things that you gain are also subject to loss. And when we have gain, we're very happy. But when we lose it, then we become dejected. And again, most of those things are beyond our ability to control. And a lot of it is connected with karma also, our past karma and so on. So gain and loss. People invest in the stock market, then maybe they get a lot of dividends, and they're planning out what they're going to do with all this increased wealth. And then what happens? Stock market, and they lose it, and then they get all upset and throws their life in a bind and so on. So these things upset the equilibrium of people's lives because they're investing too much of their energy in trying to acquire these things, which by their nature is impermanent. And the things that also control the getting or losing of those things are also impermanent, all the conditions of life. So that's gain and loss. Then there's the duality of praise and blame. So, sometimes you get praise for, oh, you're such a nice person, or you're such a great artist, or you're such a good Dharma teacher, or yoga teacher, or something like that. But, there's always somebody who will come by and, blame you. Many people even blame the Buddha. But people get elated when they get praise. And then in the next moment, somebody comes by and says the very opposite of somebody else, right? That's always happening. So praise and blame are just opinions of other people that may be based in some kind of fact, may be true or not, but still, there's always somebody who's not going to agree with you or blame you. And that's just the nature of the differences in karma and the differences in different people. So when we get praised, we shouldn't let our ego get inflated by it. Say, okay, but you might feel kind of satisfied. People appreciate, naturally we appreciate if people appreciate what we do, right? But you also have to expect that if somebody criticizes you, not to take too much offense. We can see some politicians who do that quite a lot, right? Slightest little criticism, and they go off in a tizzy and start blaming everybody, and anyway, don't want to get too much into that. So praise and blame, these are the worldly conditions, and they're the opposite. So we know praise because we know blame, we know loss because we know gain because we know loss. And then there's the fame and ill repute. So praise and blame are a little bit similar to fame and ill repute, but somebody can become famous for doing certain things. But if they do one slight wrong thing, or they get some skeleton comes out of the closet, right? Even years later, that fame can also quickly plummet. And, they could become obscure. Some people, they become really, really famous, at some points in their life, whether it's a movie star or a singer or politician or somebody else, a few years later, they could gone into obscurity. And they might go into depression about that. So, people's minds are affected by these things. It causes what causes people to acquire, all kind of mental problems. if they can't deal with that. So the whole point of that is understanding that all these conditions are all subject to impermanence and change, and we should understand that. And if we get these things, we should always have in the back of the mind, but these things are also liable to change. And when they do change, we try to keep our mind in equanimity. That means to keep an even-mindedness. So we're not affected by these changing conditions. We don't bank our life on these conditions, especially the ones that we feel are the good ones, like pleasure, gain, fame, praise, and so on, because we don't know. We could do something unmindful, slip a tongue, whatever, and there's always somebody out there waiting to tear you down. Anybody, religious figures, political figures, ordinary people, famous people. We can see that all the time, don't we? Somebody does some slight little thing and all these skeletons start coming out of the closet. What ordinary wouldn't have come out unless that person was doing something. So anyway, in our meditation life, then it's these things we can contemplate. This is how you actually use the Dhamma in your daily life. And all these things are connected with, of course, our ego. It's the ego that likes to have pleasurable feelings, the I. And it's the I that feels inflated when somebody praises it. It feels pain when somebody blames it. So all these things are connected back to the self and the I. Because everyone always thinks of themselves in a good self-image. Maybe not everybody, but most people, And they think they're usually mostly right and all that, but as we know, everyone else is thinking the same thing. And so there's always going to be these clashes. So in meditation practice, actually the word meditation means keeping the mind in the middle. In the middle means not reaching out to cling to any of these dualities. So you don't get elated if you get pleasurable feeling. And even if you get a painful feeling, you learn how to understand and say, okay, this was always in the cards. This was always a possibility. Painful feeling is there, and learn how to kind of accept it and tolerate it, and knowing that even that will change. And these things can go back and forth. You have gain and loss, and then again gain, and then again loss, and the same with the other dualities. And especially the pleasure and pain. Those are the two that are changing all the time. And even those we cannot control, although we can manage them to a certain extent. So we can't control the impermanence of things. These worldly conditions, sometimes they're called the 8 worldly winds, because they blow our life around, right? They blow us around very easily and can change our life greatly, just, overnight. Maybe the loss of loved ones in an accident or so on could send the mind into, all kind of unhealthy states and problems, and the same with the rest of our life, losing the job, especially nowadays during this coronavirus thing. There's so much upheaval, and that process is going on. So the meditation is about balancing our mind. You can't change the worldly conditions, but you can change the mind's reaction to them by understanding impermanence and by understanding the nature of the ego and how easily the ego clings to these things and one's self-identity. Some people invest their whole self-identity on some of these worldly conditions, on their fame or their praise or their wealth and so on. And when they change, their life gets affected by it. So in meditation practice, that's also what we're doing. In meditation, the things that we can sort of manage are pleasure and pain, especially the physical things or the things that are coming into our mind. So, you know, if you're sitting in meditation for a longer time and you start getting pain in the body, you can understand, okay, this is the nature of the body to have pain, and because I've sat a little bit longer than usual, okay, and try to endure it a little bit longer. Instead of immediately trying to get away from the pain, you say, well, this pain is not that bad. I can do this. And you can relax around it, and you can sit through that pain for another 5 minutes or 10 minutes and observe it and see how it fluctuates. And at a certain point, it might vanish. And you would have, you know, been able to increase your pain threshold tolerance and not be so disturbed by the pain. Or even if a pleasurable feeling comes, you have a good meditation, that's a good one, right? So when people have a good meditation, they might have been meditating for a long time and with not many good results, or what they thought was progress, and all of a sudden they might have a good meditation where their minds become very calm and they feel kind of very light, and they have some maybe altered state of perception, and you know, they get elated and think, oh, this is good. Now it's all going to be good. And then the next meditation, you know, it'll be just nothing but monkey mind and lots of distractions, and so, you know, we can't control these things really, but we can manage them. So, you know, the word meditation means, as I said, keeping the mind in the middle and not being drawn to either of these extremes. And so that's what the whole practice of meditation, because in one meditation period, you can experience, you know, so many of these up and downs. You know, you can have physical pain, you can have immense physical pleasure if you know, touch base with a jhana and get that piti and sukha and blissed out feeling, but, you know, in the next minute that can change and you'll be having a pain in somewhere, or there'll be some distraction, maybe a loud noise is coming from outside and you know, starting to bother you, get upset about that, or and, you know, in 1 hour meditation, you can go through a lot of these phases for, you know, many times. So anyway, that's what we, in our understanding of the Dhamma, to understand these worldly conditions, and that basically we cannot really control them. We can only manage our reaction to them. And it doesn't mean we can't be, you know, kind of happy if some good fortune comes, but to know that it can be taken away very quickly, and say, if that happens, okay, well, you know, I was okay before it came, and I'll be okay after it's gone. Somehow people manage, people's lives go on, right? So even the people who have experienced really, really horrible tragedies in their life, you know, their lives have gone on. And even though it was painful maybe for a couple years, you know, everything is changes. So the mind actually, like, there's a simile of the mind like a bamboo. So a bamboo, when a wind blows, the bamboo bends, right? And then when the wind stops, it comes back up, or blows down in another direction. When the wind stops, it comes back up. Now that's different from a tree. Like a weak tree, if a wind comes up, it might snap it in half and break it because it's not flexible. So we should make our mind like the bamboo. So when pain comes, it might bend a little bit, but when that pain is off, the mind comes right back up, to straight. And it gets blown over the other way, it doesn't break, and it comes back up. So that's the sort of the long-term benefit of practicing meditation, on a daily basis, is that gradually the mind gets used to that, especially by the proper type of meditation and by the applying the right efforts and so on, and following the middle path. Basically, the middle path means avoiding those two extremes, not avoiding it, but not being affected by those two extremes. So equanimity is one of the higher purified state of mind, is where you're able to endure in a relaxed way even painful sensations, even actual painful body sensations, physical pains, and just patiently endure it and know that it will change, and and the same with the pleasurable feelings. So that's what I just wanted to. I know a lot of you have heard this kind of talk before, but wanted to just remind people of that, and it's something you can reflect on, even if some of these conditions are going on in your life. Maybe you're getting blamed by your family members or somebody else. Oh, you never go visit mom, or you never do this, you never do that. And then, but that's their opinion. They might not know everything, or you may be getting praised by others, and so not to put too much stock in what other people are blaming you or praising you, or other things, So now, having said that much, for people out there in the virtual land, I'm going to open it up to some questions and answers, and we'll see what can come of that. It says, what are the remedies to help with reactions to worldly conditions? Would mindfulness help? Would mindfulness help? That's the only thing that's going to help you. Well, a little dose of wisdom won't hurt. So mindfulness has to always be connected with wisdom. Otherwise, it's not really mindfulness. Because again, there's two types. In the Dhamma, there's always two levels to everything. There's the mundane eightfold path, there's super mundane eightfold path. Last week, there's the spiritual faculties, which are mundane, and there's the spiritual powers that are super mundane. And then there's there's ordinary mindfulness, and then there's right mindfulness. And right mindfulness is always supported by wisdom and right understanding. So yes, mindfulness is really, the only thing that's really going to help you in that. To be mindful of when you do receive a gain, not to get too elated. Don't plan your whole future on that lottery that you won, because how many people have lost all their money after winning a lottery or wasting it foolishly, and they wound up back on the streets or something else. So Yes, the mindfulness is the most important thing for that. And then the right efforts, but there's, in the Eightfold Path, there are three of the most important of the 8 factors. 3 are the most important, which Bhante Gunaratana calls the 8 pillars of the Eightfold Path. And that's right understanding, right mindfulness, and right effort. And so whenever one of these worldly conditions come to you, you understand, okay, these have come to me, maybe the result of the past or present karma, but they can also, they're impermanent and they can be taken away just as fast as they came, or even faster than they came, they can be taken away, right? Usually faster, isn't it? Usually it takes up some time to build up, some gain, wealth, or you don't get famous overnight or praised overnight normally, but it can be taken away so fast. So, and that's why we have to have a daily meditation, because mindfulness is a power, just like anything else. It's something that has to be, until you reach the highest levels, where it's going to be a permanent thing. It's something that waxes and wanes with your practice, the same as the ability to concentrate, the ability to stretch a muscle. If you're a yoga teacher, if you don't keep up the stretches, then you're also going to have a difficulty after a while to touch your toes or to, do some back bends or whatever. So it's the same way with mindfulness. If we're not always exercising it, it can, decrease in its power. That means the quickness of the mindfulness. The mindfulness to be there like right then. Most people have delayed mindfulness. I mean, something happens and and so, the mindfulness has to be very quick and sharp, and that only comes through the consistent practice. And also subtle. That's why, in some of the meditations, I say, like, turn up the power of the mental microscope. Try to feel subtler and subtler detailed sensations. That's mindfulness. Being able to detect quicker and sooner pain that's arising, or to be able to detect quicker when a worry is starting to come into your mind, or when an unskillful thought is coming into your mind. You catch it real quickly before it has a lot of power. And when you're mindful of it sooner, it knocks the wind out of it. It knocks the power out of it, and it's easier to go off, to let go of. Otherwise, if you're a little bit too late, I always give the simile of an octopus, right? So if an octopus gets one tentacle on you like this, without too much trouble, you can peel it off. But each time it gets another tentacle on you, it gets harder to get it off. And if it gets 7 or 8 on you, it drags you out to the sea and drowns you and eats you. And that's what happens when our mindfulness is slow. We get, we're slow to catch a thought, and we get all wrapped up into it. Some worry, some frustration, some anger, and it drowns us. So we're drowning in our emotions because we were not quick enough to be mindful of it, and then also to apply the right effort, to apply the appropriate remedy that will allow the mind to let go of it. And the remedy is the right understanding. So let's see if there's next question. If we think there is no world outside, but our body and mind and the six senses, then maybe we can avoid issues with worldly conditions. Is this correct? You could also say yes and no to that. Now, the world outside, believing that the world doesn't exist, that's one extreme. But believing that the world outside exists exactly as we see it with our limited fleshy eye and senses, that's also another extreme. So the middle path, Buddha always took the middle path. It's not that everything is real or nothing is real, but how is it real? It appears to be real. And for the ordinary person who's caught by it, it is very real for them. They suffer a lot. That pain in their body, they can't say the body doesn't exist. These conditions don't exist because they're still going to feel the pain from it. Now, for an enlightened person who's already attained full enlightenment, then it's a different story. They won't be so affected by the pains, but they don't deny the external world either. Let the world be there. Buddha was interested in the mind. He wasn't here to deny the world. He was here to talk about attachment and how we allow the world to make us suffer unnecessarily. And to understand that the end of the world is within the mind. He didn't mean the end of the earth. He meant the world of the ego, of me, and its involvement with the six senses and its karmic involvement with the six senses. That's what we mean by creating the world. We don't mean we're creating this earth, actual physical earth or solar system. So again, there was another example of the Buddha. Somebody said, "Oh, all these senses, they're arousing lust in the mind, or they're hatred, and it's better. Maybe I better gouge my eyes out, or maybe I better, jam a pin in my ear and go deaf. Then the world won't bother me." And the Buddha said, "You foolish person, no, that ain't gonna work. Because the desires are still in your mind. Even if you're blind, you'll have dreams and want to see. Or if you're deaf." And then there was another person who said, "Oh, he lived in the desert with all kind of rocks." He said, "Oh, let me cover the whole desert floor or the mountain with thick leather. Then I can walk anywhere." And then Buddha said, "Why do that? Why just make a pair of shoes?" Instead of, covering up the earth, you cover up the things that contact the earth. That means with mindfulness, you don't allow the painful sight, sound, smell, touch, or thoughts to disturb that inner equilibrium. Rather than trying to shut them out, you can't shut them out. You change your attitude toward them. You change the mental reaction to them. So that is the Dhamma, perspective on that. That, pain is a given. Suffering is optional. That means we can't avoid pain. We can't avoid getting a toothache if the conditions are there. We'll get a toothache. And no one likes a toothache. Even I had one last week or two. But I'm going to get a root canal on Friday. but I'm not experiencing any pain now. Anyway, so, we can't avoid painful conditions because that's the nature of the world, but we can change our mind and attitude of it as an internal condition. So, Okay, well, it looks like that might be the end of the chats. So that's all right. We can in this session a little early, have a little bit longer, some yoga exercise and maybe a longer guided meditation. How's that? Okay, so go ahead and take unless there's a last question, if somebody has a last question they want to. When we come back, we'll take a short break for a couple minutes to use the restroom or take a drink of water, and then come back. And if anybody has a last question, we can look at that and then proceed with our meditation practice. So see you back in a few minutes.
Thanks for
Yeah, glad you could come.
getting so much out of it. Awesome. Anyway, I just want to say hi. Oh, where is there a ladies' room on this floor? I don't
Restroom?
remember. Yeah.
Right there, that door on the left,
Oh,
and
that's
one down here also.
so perfect. I love it.
So we're going to be starting with some standing yoga exercise. Okay, friends, we'll be starting with some yoga stretches now. Just stand straight, relax your shoulders, feel the arms and hands hanging at the sides. Feel your feet pressing the floor. Just try to mentally feel the height and the weight of the body over the feet. Then begin some deep, slow breathing. Try to take at least 4 or 5 seconds to breathe in, expanding your abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest, holding the air in the lungs for 2 or 3 or 4 seconds, and then feeling the relaxing contractions of the out breath, just bringing the mind to get centered in the body. All these yoga stretches will be utilizing, combining with that deep, slow breathing, repeating each one 3 times. To always keep the mind and feeling the effects of each exercise in terms of life force, vibration, sensations. So on the next in breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch your head back, look up the back of your hands, arch your lower back a bit. On the out breath, turn the palms down and touch the top of the head. Repeat it 2 more times. In breath, palms up, straighten the arms, head back, arch back a bit. Out breath, touch the top of the head. And 3rd time, hold that upward stretch longer. Feel the sensation. And release the fingers. And on the out breath, arms back to the sides. Just relax. Gently close the eyes. Just try to feel the inner sensations, subtle pulsations. Being the oxygenated blood carried out to the cells, stretched, especially the fingers. Just letting go of your thoughts. Just let the thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Just keep the feeling of the body in the front of the awareness. Just remember standing. Then next, on the in breath, next in breath, push up on the toes while raising the arms over the head in this way. Just facing the palms toward each other, 6 inches apart, and stretch up. Out breath, heels and arms back to the side. Use the breath to help lift up the body. In breath, like blowing up a helium balloon, the body rises up. Out breath, deflating the helium balloon, body comes down. Again. Relax. Feel the feet pressing the floor. Subtle pulsation, hands and fingers or other places. Touch of clothing against the skin. Any or all those sensations helps to keep the mind in the present moment. So the mind doesn't go out to think about praise or blame, or gain or loss. You now spread the feet about 3 feet apart. And place the hands at the chest. On the in-breath, raise the hands over the head. On the out-breath, lower the hands to the center of the chest and bend the knees and lower the body down. Try to keep the back upright, feet flat on the floor. Feel that stretch in the hips and knees. In-breath all the way up. And out-breath. In. Out. In. The out-breath, arms back to the sides. Just feel each foot pressing the floor. Just remember standing, standing. Now we'll do twisting from side to side, holding the arms out. And breathe in. And look at your right hand, and on the out breath, twist around to the right. Keep the eyes focused on the hand going back. And let the feet turn a little bit. The in-breath, come back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body, and then the other side, out breath to the left. In-breath back to the front. Again to the right, out breath. In-breath, front. Out breath. Once more to each side. in. Back to the front, relax. Just feel the sensations in your shoulders, hands. Feel each foot pressing the floor. These are all reminders of the present moment. The mind doesn't get blown by the 8 worldly conditions. Try to spread your feet a little bit wider apart. And we'll do the forward and backward bending. Just touching the front of your thighs. Breathe in. On the out breath, bend forward, let the hands slide down to the knees the first time, but keep the head up, looking out straight ahead. Try to flatten the back and spine like a tabletop. Get the hump out of the spine. In breath, lift up. Move the hands around under the buttocks for support. Let the head go back. Gently bend backwards on the out breath. Keep the eyes open. Look up at the ceiling. In breath, carefully lift up. Be aware of any inner shaking. And again, out breath, second time. Let the hands come below the knees about halfway. Still keep the head up, legs straight. In breath. Once more, the back bend. In breath up. Third time, let the hands come down as far as you can toward the feet. And then hold that position longer. Feel the stretch in the back of the legs. When you're holding it for a longer time, just do shallow breathing. In breath, come back up. And once more, the back bend. In breath up. Out breath, just relax, feel the whole body. Just feel the whole body exactly as it is, here and now. in the mind here and now. Is the mind content with the present moment, or is it wishing for something else? Now bring the legs, feet back together. One last exercise, the head turning. Try to keep the chin level with the floor. And try not to turn the shoulders like that when you're turning the head. Just pivot head on the neck vertebrae without trying to, if you can, not turn the torso. On an in-breath, turn the head to the right as far as you comfortably can. Try to look over your right shoulder. Turn the eyes to the right. Try to see some spot behind you. On the out breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left. Concentrating into the neck vertebrae. Look over the left shoulder. Turn the eyes to the left. In breath back to the right. Out breath left. In breath right. Out breath left. On the in breath, let the head stop in the center. Just relax. Just feel the whole body. Just try to feel that organic aliveness of the whole body. Just remember standing, standing, standing. Okay, now we'll go ahead and prepare for the sitting meditation. So as usual, I'm going to turn off my video, this meditation. So just try to sit straight, keeping the head and back and spine in a straight alignment. If you're sitting on a chair, try not to lean back on the chair. And first of all, just feel the weight of the body pressing the floor. Just feel where the buttocks and feet press the floor underneath. Start to feel some sensation. The buttocks or feet. Mentally feel the way the legs are bent underneath. The present moment awareness. And feel your hands and fingers where they touch together or where they touch your legs. Try to feel the outline of your thumbs or fingers. Feel the subtle vibrations. And feel the weight of the arms hanging from the shoulders. Feel where the clothing touches the skin, the arms, or shoulders. Relax the shoulders. And feel your neck. The outer neck. Inside the throat. Just try to feel some sensation. And feel the head balanced on top of the spinal column. And try to find the center of gravity. Means there's a straight line from the top of the head down through the spinal column to the base of the spine. And to find that, just gently kind of move the whole head and spine backwards till you come close to the tipping point. You feel like you might tip backwards. Just back off of that, just 1 inch. You should be sitting perfectly straight. Very alert position. Just try to hold that straight posture in the mind's eye. And just be aware of remembering sitting, sitting, sitting. Present moment of the body. You feel some sensations on your face. If you're wearing a mask, you can feel the sensations. breathing or other sensation. Those without the mask, just feel the natural sensation of the face, or prickling sensation. Feel where your lips touch together, where the upper lip touches the lower lip. And feel the tongue laying in the mouth. You feel the teeth or gums. They all have some different sensation. Now feel the eyes resting in the socket, and the eyelids stretched over the eyeballs. You might see some color or light, some patterns, just darkness. You might feel some subtle eye movements, REM. Sort of relax the eyes. Now see if you can feel your ears, the outer ear. And try to feel the inner ear. If you listen very closely, you might hear some subtle inner vibration, like the sound of the ocean or sound of high, shrill pitch electrical wires. Just sounds, the brainwave sounds. The alpha relaxed mental state. Then feel the top of the head, the scalp, some subtle sensations on the top of the head. The hair comes out of the scalp. Now from this point at the top of the head, allow the awareness to kind of expand a little bit to feel the outline of the sitting body. See if you can just feel that kind of silhouette or outline of the body, sense of the buttocks and feet underneath, the arms and hands in the middle, the head on top, clothing touching the skin in different places. You should be able to kind of get a sense of that in one glance. With the eye of awareness. Again, just remembering sitting, sitting, sitting. Then begin taking some deep, slow breaths to oxygenate the sitting body, like we were doing in the yoga. Take 3 or 4 or 5 seconds to slowly breathe in, expanding your abdomen, rib cage, and chest. And hold the air in the lungs for 3 or 4 seconds to feel the pause, feel the subtle sensations of oxygenating blood, and feel the relaxing contractions of the out breath, so riding the contracting out breath down to the end. Feel the last bit of air go out. And then the next in breath. Just take several more deep, slow breaths like that, cultivating this basic mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Just breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now we're going to try counting the breaths from 1 to 10. Try to develop a more precise concentration. And just keep the attention focused on the movements of the expanding and contracting movement. And if you can, continue the deep, slow breathing that can help. So with the next expanding in breath, mentally count 1. And feel the pause. With the contracting out breath, also count 1. And next expanding in breath, 2. The out breath, 2. In breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In breath, 4. Out breath, 4. In breath, 5. Out breath, 5. In breath, 6. Out breath, 6. In breath, 7. Out breath, 7. In breath, 8. Out breath, 8. In breath, 9. Out breath, 9. In breath, 10. Out breath, 10. Now discontinue the counting. Discontinue any controlled breathing. Just let the breathing return to its uncontrolled or shorter rhythm. But continue to feel it. Still keeping the attention there in the center of the body. To feel the subtler, shorter movements of the abdomen or chest. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it. Try to feel the whole breath body, the 4 phases of the breathing. The expansion of the in-breath, the brief pause, the contracting of the out-breath, the brief pause. While feeling the pause, try to remember that you're sitting. Feel the outline of the sitting body in that pause. Present moment awareness. Just notice how each breath is different. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter. Sometimes you feel it in the abdomen, sometimes you feel it in the rib cage or chest. It's always changing. The changing nature is the mindfulness. Sometimes it's an easy breath, sometimes a difficult breath. You can use these brief notes to help the mind remember this. In sitting, out, out, sitting. Or breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. It's the mind's natural connection to the present moment. From the moment you're born to the moment you die, it's about the only thing in your life that's always there, reliable. It's this breathing body. Even though it's changing, it's always there, immediately available. It doesn't leave you, doesn't divorce you. In sickness or health, it's always there. It's your best friend. If you know how to feel it. But at the same time, be alert for intruding thoughts, trying to take your attention away to the worldly condition. Especially with each out breath, just allowing the body and mind to relax more and more into the present moment of being with the breathing body, the life force bubbling through the vein. Just feeling more and subtler finer, detailed sensation in the breathing body process. Even around the breathing sensations, you might feel some little itchy feelings, prickling sensations in other places, in your head, your hands, your feet. Just come and go. You might feel some ache or pains arising. Try to just pay attention to how all these sensations are constantly changing. They're impermanent. The in-breath comes and goes. The out-breath comes and goes. Pulse of blood comes and goes. Another in-breath comes and goes. A little itch might arise, last a few seconds, vanish. Even sounds arise and vanish through the ears. Even your thoughts coming and going. If you notice the thought soon enough, it vanishes. If you don't catch it soon enough, it may lodge in the mind, draw you into thinking. If there's too many thoughts, or if the mind is a little drowsy, just come back and take a few deep, slow breaths, holding in the breath a little longer, oxygenate the blood, to reawaken, get re-grounded in the body. Just breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. the best game in town. If you find yourself totally lost in thoughts or partially asleep, just recognize it as lost, lost. Find the body sitting on the floor, here and now. Take a deep, slow breath to reground, recenter in the breathing body. Get back into the flow of awareness, moment by moment, breath by breath. phenomenon of pleasure and pain, if it comes to the body or mind. Even meditation can bring pleasure, it can also bring pain. If you get frustrated with yourself because you can't concentrate. And if you're having a good meditation, know that that also is impermanent. But it keeps you going. So what perception arises in the mind? Sabbi sankhara anicchati yada panyaya pasati atanibindati dukkhe Isamago visuddhya dukkhappata ca nidukha bhayappata ca nibbaya sokappata ca nisoka Hontu sabbi pipanino. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They arise only to pass away. When one sees this with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. And may the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. In this way may all beings live with mindfulness and wisdom. And thus spoke the Buddha. Now let us spend the last few minutes of the meditation in generating waves of vibrations of metta, friendliness, best wishes toward our own body and mind, and to all other beings. We'll combine this with deep, slow breathing. So again, start to take some deep, slow breaths, and holding in the air in the lungs for as long as you comfortably can. Just to try to imagine or feel that oxygenated blood going out to charge up all the cells of the body and bring them happiness. And feel that relaxing contraction of the out breath. And just try to take several breaths like that, just imagining the deep breath and holding in the air, like sending metta, friendliness to your own body and mind, tranquilizing its negativity, its worry. Just with the thought, may I be well, peaceful and wise. And may I be free from anxiety, worry, fear, trouble caused by the 8 worldly conditions. May I have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to deal with these conditions, to free the mind from suffering. May I be able to continue to encounter the Dhamma, deepen the practice of meditation to help free the mind from confusion and suffering. May I be well, peaceful and wise. And continue taking some more deep, slow breaths. With each out breath, just imagine sending these same sorts of thoughts, vibrations to your loved ones back home, any sick parents or relatives, or any other family members, friends, relatives, colleagues at work. And with each out breath, just extending these waves of metta. Just imagine these waves of metta going across the fields, countryside, through the towns, cities. Send an extra breath or two down Pennsylvania Avenue in Washington. With each out breath, just imagine these waves of metta, friendliness, best wishes, going out across the whole country, across the oceans, surround the whole earth. Just with the idea that may all living beings, wherever they might be, living near or far, visible or invisible, the strong or the weak, the rich or the poor, beings that live on the earth, in the water, in the air. May all living beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings be free from the pains and sufferings of body and mind brought about by their unmindful thoughts, speech, and action. May all beings have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May all beings be able to hear the teachings of the Dhamma, to learn and practice meditation, to help free the mind from confusion and suffering. May all beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together, understanding the ultimate interconnectedness and interdependence of all things. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. Just like a mantra reverberating throughout space. Well, peaceful, and wise. Now to finish this meditation, I invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do that chanting on a long out breath. So take a deep, slow breath. Sa Place the hands at the edge of your knees. Take one more deep, slow breath. Stretch the head back, pull against the knees to arch backwards on the in-breath. And lift the head up, and on an out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. And lift the chin up on an in-breath. And on the out-breath, relax and put a smile on your face. Okay, friends, so that brings our Sunday afternoon meditation to an end, but as I always say, you know, mindfulness should never end because mindfulness is the natural condition of our mind whenever we're resting in the present moment. And it's always there underneath our busy mind, that vibration of present moment awareness is always available. It's inviting you to come home to the present moment, anytime, any place. So remember the M&Ms. So friends out there around the world, we're glad you could join us today. And wish you all the best this next week. And see our friends from Brazil.
Thank you, Bhante.
Artur, Fabiana.